Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Jackass Express Podcast. It has been a very, very long time, but I mostly blame it on, I don't know, let's say Sax again. Sax is always...
Your laziness.
He's the person. My laziness. Yes, absolutely.
Society.
Let's see. What's the normal fun things to blame it on nowadays? People, society, time, money. ISIS. Absolutely, ISIS. They've been corrupting our airways long enough, and it's just made it so hard to do a proper cast. But yes, welcome back, everybody. Today we have joining us Mr. Jeffrey Mickelson and some guy from this other thing that I'm aware of named Dan Ducept.
Hey.
I finally got his name right after all this time.
It only took you, what?
Dan.
8 months?
Why I get this? Well, just kind of where we've been this last couple of years or centuries, I think it's been at least a decade since we last had a podcast, is we've been experimenting with new technology and ways to bring the cast easier to our audience and also to the audience of another project we've been working on in the background. Dan is the lead host for a separate podcast we do called the Why Did Ask For Podcast. Originally was named the Dark Flubberhood Podcast, but then they rebranded. And it's been doing really, really well. They're on episode 5. And it's been very well received, I think. I mean, the quality's been doing great. And they just got a brand new logo, which I think looks really, really nice.
Yeah, we did.
Thanks to...
Shout out to Jesse for that one.
Mr. Jesse Smith, who will have to lock in a dungeon somewhere and make sure no one poaches him. But
he's not getting away this time.
Yes. So this actually helps us make a point, or not a point, but a kind of an announcement for the Jackass Express. And then we're going to be moving on to a previously unreleased bonus podcast for the Jackass Express. We are going to be beginning to create a network, if you will, that will be hosting not only the Jackass Express podcast, but also the Why Did Ask For podcast and another podcast that is tentatively named, I'm not even sure.
No, it's not.
Okay, another podcast.
Let's just call it the Schwa podcast right now because there was a big uproar in GroupMe about the whole Blef thing, and now it's not a thing, and he deactivated the Twitter and all that crap. So.
Oh, don't you love dealing with fun things like that? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to be a part of a network now, so yay! And that means we'll probably be releasing episodes a little bit more regularly, so you'll be getting a lot more of your favorites.
That is to say that you're now under my thumb, and you will do as I say.
Yeah,
not really.
That's true. Dan says
really.
If we have to talk about gay underwater dolphins, then we have to talk about gay underwater dolphins. Jeff, I'm very sorry.
As opposed to gay land dolphins?
I'm used to it.
Well, we already talked about gay land dolphins. That's Sax territory. But yes, for those of you that may be listening to the Jackass Express for the first time, our podcast is mostly about, I hate to be frank about it, but basically we talk about
just be
cocktails and
nonsense
and worldly jobs and your first 21st birthday story. And I say first 21st birthday story because not everybody starts drinking at 21. Usually if you're like Dan and you start drinking at 12 years old, then, it becomes an issue. I think everybody will enjoy this podcast as much as we enjoy the Why Did Ask For podcast. So, all right, guys, I think that's good for now. I just wanted to touch base with everyone, give everyone a quick little update on what was going on with the Jackass Express podcast. So I think it's safe to say to expect a few more podcasts from us coming out. I think we're going to try for every Wednesday. Don't hold us to it. But Wednesday seems to be our release date, so we'll be keeping you guys posted with many more fun things from our crazy group of jackasses. Anything else you guys want?
Speak for yourself.
Jeff, please. Jeff. These guys live to embarrass me. You know that? It's like, Pat, you're a fool. We're going to tell everybody about it.
Maybe that's why you come off the way you do on our podcast.
I just stay quiet on the other podcast. I don't pay attention.
Like throw in your little dad jokes every now and again, kind of keep to yourself. Is that because you get berated when you're in here?
Pretty much, I think.
All my self-esteem has already left me by the time this is over. You're just going to hear this hard cut to the pre-recorded cast of me like crying in the corner, and then all of a sudden, hey guys,
Well, I think the person that probably has the most to talk about right now is Mr. Chase, because he survived Typhoon, whatever the hell it was, that just wiped out Saipan and made its way to Taiwan.
Yeah.
Then mainland China.
So that's what that was.
Were you out there flying a kite?
Did you notice it was a little moist outside?
Yeah, I thought it was unusually windy outside. Windier than usual.
A little precipitation.
Yeah, actually, surprisingly, I think this was the strongest one that Taipei has gotten in about 18 years or so.
Wow. I reopened the video just now to kind of reference it, and the sound is so intense that I actually had to stop the video because it was going through my microphone, or it was going through my headset.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
It was pretty crazy.
Taiwan, I think, was a little bit better equipped for it. Of course, Saipan, little U.S. Territory in the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, got hit very hard by that. They're rationing gas and rationing food. The National Guard, I think, is out there. President Obama declared a state of emergency for them. So
yeah, they got the brunt of the attack. I guess it was about 100+ mile/hour winds that they got, plus high torrential rain. I think when it finally hit Taiwan, it was around 89 miles an hour or something like that. So,
Yeah, it died down a little bit, and the infrastructure on Saipan isn't exactly, the same as it is on Taiwan in Taipei. But yeah, I think it weakened a little bit as it was heading towards Taiwan, and so it wasn't quite as bad. But yeah, Saipan got hit quite hard.
Actually, in the wake of this, I think maybe around, was it 4 people? I think 4 people died.
Ouch.
I don't think like 4 or 5, but actually 2 of them were because this lady and her daughter were at the beach. Like, for some reason, they went to the beach, even though everyone knew, like, at least a week in advance that a typhoon was coming. We're like, okay, guys, a typhoon's coming, whatever. And what does she do? She takes her 2 daughters out to the beach to, I guess, watch the waves, or I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
There's always a stupid person in every group. Come on, you know that.
And so, of course, the mother and the daughter died, and then the other daughter is still missing, so they don't know where the hell she is. And then,
dead?
I think some guy on his bicycle got killed. Something like that. Yeah. He was just riding his bike in the storm. And
bicycle riding is bad for you.
Maybe he saw The Wizard of Oz and was like, hey, I didn't know you could ride your bicycle in a tornado. I'm going to totally do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the fatalities were definitely,
stupid induced?
Yeah, stupid induced. I was going to say, whatever. Okay. Anyways, yes. But other than that, I think over 3 million homes were without electricity for a while. A lot of places lost water. For us, we were very lucky. We didn't lose any power the whole day. It was just really windy. Some trees got knocked over. My car was okay, thank God. And that's about it.
Yeah, there's not really...
That's good to hear.
There's not a whole lot you can do other than just kind of wait it out.
Pretty much. We took that time to kind of clean up the place, and that was about it.
That's cool. How'd your kid take it? Was it
he didn't care. He was like, he slept through it, most of it. He was like, when it was his nap time, he took a nap, even though it was like, whoa. He's like, whatever. And so it was.
White noise.
He was pretty indifferent to it, yeah. But although this typhoon, compared to the last typhoon that I was in, which was like Typhoon Morakot, that happened about 4 years ago or something like that. That one, I was stuck in my home for 3 or 4 days. Like, work was canceled for those 3 days or so.
And that's awful.
And the streets were flooded and everything. I think people were riding jet skis around. I don't know. And it was pretty bad, that one. And that one went through central Taiwan. And I think that one was probably a little bit worse than this one here. But
are you guys required to have floaties with you at all times, or inner tube things with you? Because that sounds pretty wise to do something like that, doesn't it? If you could be struck with a inclement disaster at any time, you almost you'd think you'd have to be required to have like a safety kit with you, or like one of those like rafts, those inflatable rafts that you get, the life emergency ones that you can just hit and then they expand right away.
Well, luckily we don't really get flash floods or any kind of surprise pop-up disasters like that, except for like earthquakes, and you can't really be too prepared for earthquakes. They just happen whenever they do.
Yeah.
And everyone's gonna die at some point. Yeah.
Yeesh.
Way to build
Now-
Taipei right on like 4 fault lines.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, when I was in Japan, we got some typhoons, but they weren't nearly as bad because they usually got weaker as they headed north towards Tokyo, but nothing like what Okinawa usually gets. But my car almost got crushed by a tree one time. Thankfully, it missed. And I guess apparently a couple of years before I got there, my part of base housing flooded really bad. You could see where the water line was on some of the buildings. But thankfully I was higher up, so it probably wouldn't have mattered except for my car if it was parked over there.
Is there like a drink of choice during a tsunami or a bad storm outside, Chase? So
A hurricane. Shouldn't it
I think
Yeah.
that sounds good.
hurricane?
No, a tsunami. Oh, a hurricane would be perfect. Yeah.
The drink, yes.
Yeah. No, anything really. Whatever's in the fridge. Usually, I've been making like mango smoothies. So
Ooh, getting
those
fancy,
are
huh?
pretty good.
You know, there's
Yes,
this
mango season.
there's this vitamin water that's green tea vitamin water. It's a very generic brand, and what I do is I mix it with some lemonade, throw like a shot of rum in there, and ooh, it's really good.
So it's an Arnold Palmer with rum.
But it doesn't have any iced tea in it. It has green tea vitamin water, which tastes like tea, but not necessarily tea.
So it's the Asian Arnold Palmer.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you say Arnold in the Eastern world, Chase?
A noodle.
Aleno sama. Palma.
Arunado-san. Yeah, that'd be it. That'd be it.
Palmer seafood.
Arunado. Yeah.
But yeah, it's actually a pretty good combination of fluids that tastes very, very good.
Yes, actually, I did.
And I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on that because I have my opinion, but I want to hear somebody else's thoughts before I say anything.
Well, I'm just finally glad that there's a Marvel movie that now has like the rated R version that should have come out. Like, so I remember when what was it? Punisher came out. This should have been a movie that was way more violent than PG-13 allowed. And with Deadpool, I think now they can finally do that.
No, I think they're still going for a PG-13 rating, though.
Have you seen the trailer for it, though, Sax?
Yeah, no.
I don't know how they're going to make this a PG-13. It looks pretty intense. Unless they completely edit out almost everything they showed in the trailer.
I mean, I just remember reading an article where, like, Ryan Reynolds or whoever the fuck it is was fighting to make it an R-rated movie, and they kept wanting to make it a PG-13.
Which makes sense. Monetarily, it does.
Because you get more people that way, but I think you lose people in terms of kind of, you know, originality. You want something that's different that comes out of that same thing. And I agree with Chase because Marvel is so used to doing Captain America and you know the Iron Man movies, which, you know, they're pretty good, but they're blockbuster movies. They're, you know, fun movies. This one is like, I would want to see almost like a push towards like a Boondock Saints style justice here, because not all the superheroes were, you know, kind and goody. Yeah, they were vigilante.
Yeah,
dirty. Yeah.
Deadpool kills a lot of people.
Yeah, he sure does.
And takes advantage of a lot of women. But it was really, really refreshing to see that style come out of a Marvel movie in that trailer. I really hope they don't nerf it. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. But again, you know, it all comes back down to the dollar. I think even if it's still PG-13, fans are still going to go see it regardless, and then you've already got your money.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hey, Jules, are you a fan of Marvel at all?
I'm not too big into any of that, but I'll watch it.
Has Jeff said anything this whole podcast yet?
I have. Just no one listens to me.
Jeff, please enlighten us. What happened?
Oh, I'm just listening.
Well, because usually this is a lot like a line in Russia where they hand out toilet paper. It's not really a line. It's everybody grasping for the utilities as best they can.
Actually, more Venezuela. They ran out of everything, but...
Actually, I got a great question for Jeff. Did you celebrate International Beer Day, Jeff?
I did not.
You did not?
No.
International Beer Day was alleged to have been this last Friday, which I believe was the 6th of August. And I think would have been a great... Oh, actually, it would have been the 7th. Never mind. It would have been the 7th, and I think... Oh, that's what I was going to tell you guys. The pineapple beer that we were trying to get to, we might need to tell Chris to change it just a little bit, only because I went to the store for International Beer Day and I saw a pineapple-based beer, and it was...
There's a lot of pineapple beers. We have pineapple beer here.
Well, yeah, and I guess we just never seen any of that stateside. So for me, it was like, oh my goodness, where did this come from?
Dude, there's going to be a lot of different beer. You're not going to be able to make a beer that doesn't exist anywhere else.
Exactly.
I guess that's
unless it's made from like dodo egg or I don't know.
Dodo.
That would be pretty heinous.
Check out this dodo
gross.
beer. You'd be a dodo not to try it.
I need somebody out there to make a graphic for the dodo beer. I want to see that.
That would be disgusting.
Drink it into extinction.
Already is.
Ah. But yeah, Jeff, how are things been going for you, man? I mean, like, what's new in your life?
Oh. Busy. Birthday parties. Work. And more work. That's really everything that's been going on this summer.
So, hear the excitement.
I know. It's so exciting. It's not like we can get out and do things here when it's over 100 every day.
Ouch. Yeah, you're right in the... And then it's so humid where you are.
You're in the gooch.
Yes. Yes, Sax. We are in the gooch.
How is the baby handling it?
She doesn't seem to care. She doesn't go out much, but she doesn't seem to care. Maybe because she doesn't know better, but we don't enjoy it. It's nasty.
Babies are surprisingly resilient. They really, like with Chase and the tsunami thing, like Joshy, he slept through an entire storm because we've been having like lightning storms every day this last week. It's been really crazy. And one time our power went out. I was the only one awake, and there was rain, there was lightning, there was thunder, there was wind. It was just like, okay, crap, the house is gonna come burning down. And then I was like waiting for the baby to get up and get mad, but no, slept right through it. Not a problem. It's like, man, I wonder if I couldn't get that resiliency back. I guess just kind of sleep through things more often.
No. And it's easier to whine and complain now that you're an adult.
Yeah, that's true.
Can imagine the baby. You know, baby's mentality is pretty cool. It's just like, somebody else will take care of it. I don't have to worry about it. You know what? I gotta poop. I'm just gonna poop right here, and then they poop.
So it's like adults when they get older.
Yeah.
That's what That's what Jeff was talking about earlier. Is that if you invest in your kids now, then they'll take care of you when you're older, and then it's almost like, you know.
No, I always tell my parents, just remember, be nice to us because we pick your home.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Got to show them a lot of those documentaries on 60 Minutes about the crooked old folks' homes.
Or you know, just watch Happy Gilmore.
Oh yeah. Misa. Get me out of here. Luckily in Asia, the kids are like the life insurance policy for everyone here.
So
Or
that's why Chase
or the
has a
pension
kid.
plans. Well, I mean, because like they don't really technically have pensions over here, so basically, like the kids live with their families until they get married. But even then, you still kind of take care of the parents, like give them like a stipend every month or so.
Wow.
They give a stipend. Wow. Then does it
take their own allowance.
Isn't there a lot of like pressure from Japanese?
Can you make them do chores?
Oh damn.
Well, they take care of our son, so.
Oh, there you go. There, you're essentially investing in your babysitters.
That's nice.
That's pretty cool. Do you have a babysitter you and your wife rely on, Jeff, whenever you guys want to go out, just kind of relax?
We
Duct tape.
actually interviewed one last week and managed to go and have lunch.
Wow.
I know. We were only gone an hour, and my wife was too nervous to stay out much longer.
Yeah, I can understand that.
That's all moms. That's how
It wasn't Doubtfire by any chance, was it?
No, it was. As far as I know, it wasn't.
There's a run by Fruity. But you know,
But no, we've been trying to find one. So
It's really tough to find someone that you'd be comfortable enough to leave your child with.
yep.
They're resilient.
Yeah, but I mean, you see all these horrible stories of people just like abusing kids while people are away. Like there was this one story, not to be a downer, but I'm glad I'm more talking about how the person got caught. That apparently these like the parents came home and they saw that like whenever the babysitter would show up, the dog would start growling at her, and they couldn't figure out why. So they set up a camera to see what was happening, and sure enough, this lady was like yelling at the baby and not hurting it, I don't think, but like neglecting the baby. And because of the dog, they figured out that this person's a piece of trash, so they were able to get rid of her. But it's like, how sad that you have to be so worried about people being mean to a baby, you know?
yeah, that's really sad.
They deserve it.
In other news, we're going to be renaming the podcast to The Old Men Complaining About Babies.
Everything.
Old men complaining.
That's right. So, Julian, you haven't been adding to The Old Men Complaining enough. There's got to be something you can...
Well, I don't have any kids, so I didn't really have much to contribute to that part of it. But yeah, I can complain about stuff. I complain about stuff all the time. It's my favorite thing to do now.
Actually, when you were talking about like the dog growling and like they were wondering, well, something's amiss. It kind of reminds me. I just read this one story where this French couple and their son, they went to White Sands.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, did you hear about that? So like they went
Go to White Sands.
Yeah, so they went. Yeah, they went to White Sands to go for a hike, and apparently, even though they told them like it was 100 degrees that day, and of course in White Sands there's no trees or anything, so there's no shade. So,
and the sun's reflecting off the white sand.
Yeah, and what happened is that like they only brought like I think
so is everything.
a 20-ounce bottle for each person of water. And even though there's signs written everywhere, including French, saying like, hey, each person needs like at least a gallon of water, and blah, blah, blah. Well, anyways, the parents end up dying of heat stroke and dehydration. And the only reason why the son survived is because the park ranger, which found the mom's body, looked at the camera and saw that there's more people with her. And like, oh shit, we were with someone. And they found the son and then the father, who was also dead. But I was like, come on, man. It's like, who go to the desert and only bring like one bottle of water and then think that's okay?
Well, French people that have no clue what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
I think...
Do they have wine at least?
Now, it's easy for us to criticize because we kind of grew up in that type of environment, at least most of us, so we kind of know what the desert heat is like.
I didn't grow up, but I fucking know that you bring water
yeah, that's
to the
true.
desert.
You didn't grow up.
Yeah.
Very true.
I think deserts and water are very synonymous.
Remember when we went hiking for that B-36 crash up in the Franklin Mountains?
Yeah.
You don't just take freaking water with you. You go prepared.
Needless to say that I also had my 2 wisdom teeth pulled out that day too.
Oh, that's right. That part was a little stupid, but it was still pretty fun.
But hey, he survived, therefore he hasn't won a Darwin Award. So, unless he plans to go out swimming in the middle of a tsunami, he hasn't won it yet. But I think what worried me the most with that conversation was Zach said it's mildly radiated, and Julian saying, well, everything is.
Everything is actually granite countertops. Everything. It's Everything has a certain amount of radiation.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
but for him to say that in terms of being an intelligence officer makes me worried a little bit. It's like, wait, is the entire country a microwave and they're slowly turning it up a little bit once in a while?
No, there's actually certain areas in Colorado that are worse than background, like have a higher level of background radiation.
Mm-hmm. You get a bunch when you fly too.
Oh yeah, it's like taking a chest X-ray.
And it's all dependent on elevation too. So if you live in a higher elevation, like he was saying, Colorado, it's going to have higher levels of background radiation naturally occurring. Nothing you can do about it than places that are lower in elevation.
Now, are these
Also, there's certain rocks and minerals and just naturally occurring things in the ground are going to affect that too.
now for higher altitudes? Is that radiation due to like radiation from the sun, or?
Well, it's funny that you asked that because I just read an article from the FAA that talked about cosmic radiation that you get exposed to when you're flying, and there's other kinds of radiation too. But yeah, when you're flying, it's basically coming from space, and because there's less atmosphere to protect you, you're getting bombarded with it.
Isn't there that one city or town or hamlet in South America, it's which is like the highest elevation civilization in the world?
Yeah, it's in Peru, and there's actually a rock named after it as well. I can't remember the name though.
But they're actually like the highest civilization, right? Even like higher than some places in the Himalayas.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
The bottom line is radiation is something that people get freaked out about very easily, but it's all around you. You're constantly getting exposed to it, and it's
your body
under most circumstances not gonna kill you. It's only extreme situations that this stuff is actually gonna be bad for you. And actually, I found the document that I was talking about. So you're talking about the two different kinds that you get exposed to when you're flying is galactic cosmic radiation and energetic solar particle radiation. And depending on what part of the world you're flying in, how high and how long, you get exposed to various different amounts above normal background radiation, and people are fine. So,
I don't
know if anyone's familiar with what a millisievert is.
How about those pilots?
We can talk about that in a different podcast.
How about those like SR-71 pilots then, and the U-2 pilots? Because those guys were up there in the stratosphere.
You can also shield.
Yeah, they're also
a lot
in
of that
space.
stuff.
Yep. Little gold particles, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it a little?
It's just too expensive to shield a passenger jet.
Yeah. It's not really worth it.
No.
Wouldn't it be a little bit then irresponsible for them to have all these movies about superheroes getting their powers through radioactive means?
Got to give people hope.
Yeah. It's kind of like
it's just gonna kill you in reality if you get exposed to that much radiation.
Yeah, all your hair falls out and you die. Yeah.
So, and actually, one more thing that I just thought was kind of funny. So when I was in Japan, we had the whole Fukushima thing going on. We had a bunch of pregnant women at Yokota that were everyone was freaking out about this radiation, and we were constantly measuring the background radiation levels at the base, and there was no real change from what the everyday background radiation was, but we still had to evacuate the pregnant people and the young children, and I think forget where they went. I think we took them to Guam and then eventually back to the U.S. mainland, but they actually got a higher dose of radiation getting on the plane and flying back to the U.S. than they did just sitting on the ground in Japan. But they didn't really care. They just, this radiation, there's a nuclear power plant that's spewing out stuff, and I don't know. It wasn't as bad. And then you had people in the U.S. that were freaking out.
People don't
and
understand
buying iodine tablets. No, they really don't.
Yeah.
See, another horrible thing I just heard from Julian right now was, okay, all these people dying from radiation poisoning. And another funny thing that I've heard, and he proceeds to talk about the pregnant women. Julian, what is going on?
With what?
No, it was just, I know it wasn't like it sounded, but it was funny because you were saying, oh yeah, we're talking about all these people dying of radiation sickness, and then you go, oh yeah, and another funny thing that I heard.
No, well, I should have said interesting. I kind of stepped away from the mic or from the headset for a little bit to go pick up that paper that I was referencing from the FAA, so I might have missed that part.
I
So
just had
my
that
apologies.
lying around the house.
Well, house, underground, bunker.
Yeah, well, no, because I just got it sent to me to read because they were trying to, they want people that fly frequently, like me, to just be aware that. So not only am I getting extra radiation from space and the sun, I'm also getting a little bit from that giant radar that I sit on top of.
Yay.
So who knows what the hell is going to happen to me?
Well.
Oh yeah, and I was
superpowers.
I was within 100 miles of Fukushima when it was hot.
It's called superpowers. Your hair falls out, and your cells die. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll link this radiation dose chart that Zach sent me to the link dump here. Some of them are pretty interesting here. It's a yearly dose from natural potassium in the body apparently gives you radiation.
Eating a banana.
Eating a banana. Well, mammogram, but that's pretty standard there.
Sex, you need to worry about that.
I know. I need to get checked. I haven't done it for a long time.
Oh my god, I feel a lump.
Oh wait, it's a Cheeto.
Cheeto, it's just a Cheeto.
There was this one video, and I know this is a really bad tangent, but I just wanted to bring it up because I thought it was really cool. There was this professional, I guess, kickboxer that was in Thailand. Who apparently she's really good at Muay Thai, and they had started a studio. And what they did to mess with their trainers, I can't think of a practical reason they did this. I guess just for the fun of it, they decided to dress her up like just a regular girl, wanting to learn how to kickbox, and goes into the gym, and they have the new I guess trainers that they hired, and they wanted to see how she would or how they would treat her. And so she pretends like she doesn't know anything. So then she says, well, hey, can I spar one of you guys? And they're like, well, I don't think you're ready to spar yet. She goes, no, I just want to, give it a try. So they get in there, and you see where they're sparring with her. And obviously she's, faking not being really good at it. And they're trying to tell her, keep your hands up, do this, whatever. Well, at one point, I guess to mess with the other guy, they switch out, and the other guy goes in there expecting to go easy on her too. And then she just lights this guy up and completely kicks his butt. And it's such an interesting video to watch. And because I love stuff like that, where you kind of have the undercover boss sort of deal going on. So you got this person really experienced in this going in there, and then they just completely obliterate people that don't see it coming.
But I think it's, in a way, though, it's kind of like under false pretenses, because those guys are trying to do their job, saying like, well, if someone wants to learn Muay Thai, so they're treating them as a novice. Yeah. You wouldn't treat everyone like an expert, obviously. So if they're coming in, and we understand like the story or whatever. It's just
they wouldn't want to go in there either, like acting threatening either.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where I kind of just like see like, oh, okay.
Well, it had to have been staged, and like I said at the beginning, I'm not even sure why they did it. Just to kind of
probably to
have
beat
fun.
The one guy up.
Yeah, it just seems kind of ridiculous, and even like it's considered as like a joke, kind of, because the guy's just trying to do his job. Now the one that I've seen before, it was again, maybe this was in Singapore, I can't remember, but they got this one girl. She's a professional race car driver, and they got her to take the driving test, like driver's ed test, pretending she didn't know what she was doing. She was taking the instructors out for like a joyride kind of deal, where like turn here, she's like turn like this, and then she'd do like a drift around this car or whatever, and then they're like, oh my god, I'm gonna die, get out of this fucking car, and blah blah blah. And then she took like multiple driving teachers out there, and they're like, get out of this car, you don't know what you're doing, kind of deal.
I think that's kind of what they were going for with this, because I don't think they were like trying to pick on the new trainers. They just kind of wanted to shock them, and they're all wearing pads and stuff, so it's not like they were really hurting them. But it's kind of like with that. It's the same thing as that Jeff Gordon thing for Pepsi he did, where he goes out with them to try out a new car. They're trying out, I guess, the Camaro. And he gets in the car to test drive it, and he just completely scares the crap out of the used car dealership by doing all these crazy race car things that they do. It's pretty funny.
Like driving fast,
but also being able to park a certain way on a dime. It's pretty intense.
Yeah,
I can see people having a lot of fun with that, but for the person that doesn't know what's going on, it's messed up. It's holy crap.
Very messed up.
Well, it's kind of like you got what's his name, Gordon Ramsay, who goes into these restaurants and he at first he starts as a customer, and then he
what's that show
helps
called?
them, I guess, cook better food or manage their business better.
And yells at them.
No, it is Kitchen Nightmares. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. There's another one just like it. It's called Restaurant Impossible.
But it's actually pretty cool.
And
I like it.
That one's actually not bad either. But that one, he actually has different guidelines to go through. I think they only have 3 days to kind of turn this restaurant around. And of course,
most of them end up failing anyway.
Well, he's never given up on any of them. I think there was one recently that the lady was so bad, she wasn't listening to any of his advice, and it was the first time that he has actually pulled out of a restaurant saying, you know what, I've never felt like I couldn't help someone before. This is the first time I've actually decided I'm going to step out and not do it.
I think he went back and did a recap too later.
He does another show too where he works with inmates and convicts to turn them into chefs.
Grab those shrimp. We're gonna turn your life around today. So I did a really unintentionally jerky thing the other day, and I feel really bad about it. And I talked about it on this other podcast this guy's doing, where I was driving to work, and sometimes in El Paso and most places you see the homeless people there on the side of the road, and they're asking for change and whatever. So I do my normal
supposedly homeless.
Yeah, right. But still, who am I to judge? So I'm looking for change, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to use this change, but I can't find any, so I'm like, oh, whatever. Well, at that time, I'm listening to this other podcast, which is pretty funny, and at the moment that he passes by me, they say something really funny on the podcast I'm listening to, so I start laughing as the poor guy's walking by me, and I'm like, oh my god, I hope he didn't think I was laughing at him because he's homeless.
Don't feel bad.
Thank you, Sax. That makes me feel so much better.
You should feel bad.
Thank you, Jeff. That's what I wanted to hear.
That's what I'm here for.
Other than that, guys, anything else going on?
Just the same shit every day, yeah.
Nope.
Life.
Tired? Everybody needs a nap?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Not for me.
Not for you yet. I think we may have announced this before, but Sax is going to soon be Mrs. Sax, and he's very excited.
Yeah.
So,
Mrs. Maria.
Have you guys made any wedding?
Nope.
How does it work there in Ecuador? Is it a different type of ceremony, or do you guys just go up, pay the bellhop, and then?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Actually, you just meet some guy in a back alley, and they get you some papers.
Back alley officiant.
Yeah.
You guys want the Catholic? You want the Baptist? You want the? I also got, for some reason, I got the Buddhist thing in here too.
No, it's pretty much.
So you gotta
Catholic
take
or
classes
nothing
then?
there. Dude, it's South America. What do you expect?
Yeah, Catholics too.
No, I don't.
That's Judaism, I think.
Technically
Or maybe it is
Catholics
Catholic.
too, but
Yeah.
I think as a child I was actually baptized because my mom didn't want me to go to purgatory or limbo or whatever because
you're so going to purgatory.
that crushing Catholic guilt was weighing on her. So she got me baptized, and I think that's just enough to get me in the door without catching on fire, apparently.
And the last minute deathbed repentance. That's all you need to do.
Exactly.
Horrible.
If you give the Catholic Church enough money, you go to heaven.
Changes.
Not like that anymore.
Catholic Church. We've made a few.
Oh my god, we're gassing up.
So dumb. Well, good, man. That's we're very happy to hear that. There's another announcement of the group, but I don't feel like it's right to announce it without him being here. So we're gonna hold off on that.
That was a dick move.
Keep the fans in suspense, all three of them.
All two of them. Now we're down to two. We've probably pissed them off. The other one off.
Spite.
The other one. I don't know if they're gonna ever record again, but if they do, I'm not gonna listen to it. Out of spite, and then I'll probably go back and listen to it later. But that's maybe something that I'll do later. It'll be like our own little Who Shot Mr. Burns murder mystery thing. Is who moved on with their life and did something more productive. I was gonna mention that we should start trying to do our Minecraft videos again. I think that would be a cool little way to do something a little bit fresh.
Oh, I have Minecraft now.
Time.
Oh, good.
Oh, okay. So, do we still have that server?
I don't think we do.
Or is it long gone?
I still have the map somewhere of the server, so we would just need a place to host it, and then we should be able to access it.
Okay, so all of our hard work is still there somewhere.
Allegedly, supposedly.
Allegedly, yeah. I'm going to be gone for an extended period of time, so I will have plenty of free time to play and do random things like that.
Very nice. Where are you going? Or can you say? Or do you know?
A hot, dry climate.
Oh, you're going to White Sands. Awesome.
Yes, I am.
Take a gallon of water.
Make sure. Drink plenty of water.
Drink plenty of
Make sure, even if you're French, that you don't decide to take a nap in the middle of the hike. That's a bad idea.
But I like taking naps.
The French were never resilient people anyways.
We welcome our French sponsors, Le Café.
No, they gave up.
Baguettes.
They immediately pulled out after we gave that promo for them. You know, we were talking about earlier the idea of our kids taking care of us when we get older. I wonder if they're going to ever listen to these podcasts and be like, God, our parents were jerks, man. I never want to, I'm going to take care of them. I'm going to put them in that crooked home in 60 minutes. Do you guys have an anti-being put in a home plan?
Skydiving without a parachute.
And
land in a grade school like play yard with all the kids out there. Because if you're gonna go out and make the national news, and scar as many children as you can.
Take as many of them as you can with you.
No, you're not trying to kill them. You're just terrified.
Trying to emotionally scar them.
There's a difference.
Where they'll never be able to go to bed.
Every time I try to go to sleep, I just see that man flying through the ceiling and crashing on all my friends.
Exactly.
Give these poor kids PTSD.
Pretty much.
Oh.
And then he got up and he was still alive, and it made no sense, but he crushed all my friends. Oh, boy. That's great. I think I would like to have, I don't know, like just a private chauffeur. Not that I wouldn't want a private chauffeur now, but I would want definitely a private chauffeur then. That'd be able to take me anywhere I wanted to go, despite the fact that I'm all old and decrepit and had no problems, like putting me into the back of a Jeep and taking me places. So that way I could go to the movie still. I could still go like to hologram world where you get to relive cool moments of your life. That'd be awesome.
Well, I mean, it's definitely possible to keep moving around even when you're up there in age and still maybe travel or whatever. Just, spend all that money and leave none of it for the kids.
Absolutely. That's the plan. That's the American dream, isn't it, Jules? I thought that's how it worked.
Sure.
Well, I think it's gonna. I actually tell April that I look forward to kind of getting older because you have. I mean, this is gonna sound bad, but you have a lot more alone time where you can like work on stuff, and you can, if you really wanted to write, you could spend that time writing, and you're not. I hate to say it because it's not really like people are leaving you alone; they're like neglecting you because you're old. But you're
less interesting.
You're less interesting and less relevant, and you kind of don't mind being less relevant because you really don't want to have to put up with other stuff. But I like the idea that I could just be like, whatever it is I want to do, I have the time to do it, but I'm retired and, my kids are okay. And yeah, I go out and do stuff with them once in a while when they're older with their families, but I get to work on stuff that I want to do for whatever, you know? And look at George R.R. Martin, the guy who wrote Game of Thrones. I mean, how old is this guy? And he writes these amazing stories that are just now in his life taking off.
Well, they've been taking off for a while now. They're just taking off in a different way because of the movie or the TV show.
The TV show. And actually, a lot of times the TV show takes kind of creative license and maybe expands on stuff that wasn't necessarily written in the books.
Yeah, I've heard that there's been like characters that showed up that shouldn't have been there, that they just wanted to use the name. But what's interesting to me is because of how old he is, April told me he's had to talk to his producers of the show, and only they know how it's supposed to end. Because if he dies between now and the time that the books are over, he wants them to know so that they can end it the way it's supposed to. Because apparently it all ties together a certain way, but only him and the producer know how it ends.
Surprisingly, I know with Breaking Bad, I read a story where they didn't know how it's supposed to end, and basically they got it was like a fan submission about, and it was like this kid, it was like 13-year-old kid, and he was like, he brought the question, like, well, whatever happened to those two partners that Walter was was in business with, and they let him out, and that's what gave the Vince Gillian or whatever the epiphany he needed to kind of wrap the whole series up, and that's where we saw the ending that we saw in the finale. But it was all because of that one kid.
Huh. You gotta send me that article if you can find it, because I've always, the endings and the stories for Breaking Bad have always been so satisfying. There was always that feeling of suspense. Waiting for the next season.
Well, because like the problem was that they didn't know how to end.
Spoiler.
Now he was at the, well, okay, whatever. He's kind of at the end of his deal. He's already on the run. He's hiding, and
they didn't really know how to bring him back, and that's when.
They decided like, well, he's watching the TV, and that's when he sees like, his two people, and they're like, oh, Walt had nothing to do with this, and blah blah blah, and then that's when he goes into doing the thing that he did.
Oh, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but that was pretty funny. It was like, okay, yeah, they didn't know how to. And then I was like, no, that's a spoiler, and you go back, okay, so then they didn't know how to handle the. And I was like, wait, it's the same thing. But that is awesome, because that kind of shows that as a fan, you could have a real impact on a show if you're that passionate about it and get involved. And
yep, exactly.
Yeah, so maybe one of our fans out there can send us some suggestions on how to do things a little bit more differently here at the Jackass Express.
Stop recording.
No,
stop beating a dead horse.
No, this is like vegetables and dessert. See, our demographic now is the older gentleman of the group who can agree with us in our cool, wise wisdom here.
Are you calling us old?
Huh? No, just sex. And the importance of our advice is going to help people our age realize that, hey, you're not the only ones out there complaining alone.
I stopped paying attention to you guys. I lost interest.
Just like our fans.
I know.
You guys, you always have such a positive outlook on things, and that's why I appreciate you guys.
Well, that's what we're here for.
Well, on that note, maybe we should go ahead and wrap up. We're at the 46-minute mark. Is there anything else anybody would like to say?
Nope.
All right, guys. Let's go ahead and wrap this up.
Pretty much covered it.
Everyone, please, thank you for listening to Jackass Express Podcast. Make sure to go visit our Facebook page where we're posting pretty regularly there, facebook.com/Jackass Express, and please visit our blogspot at jackassexpress.blogspot.com. We're also on iTunes if you care to listen to our back library, and I think now we're actually posting podcasts on YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to hear us when we weren't as crotchety, but I promise we'll be even more crotchety in the future to look forward to.
How many views are we up to now?
I think 2. Didn't we say 2?
2.
But remember,
That's
we pissed off the first guy, so the second guy is he's still rallying for us.
He's keeping us going.
Yeah, he says he's gonna walk through White Sands for us as a tour. All right, guys. Thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.
The Jackass Express!